So I don't know if you take the time to read the blogs that I write. I hope you do, because they're really meant to be meaningful and supportive and uplifting, and sometimes they're just meant to be very real. And I want to refer to recently I wrote something and we decided to call it a timely response. And it was different than the regular blog, and what it was, and the opening line of it is that the world is hard right now. And I wanted to bring that back out because we had this glorious, wonderful practitioner meeting the other day, and one of the things that I really value is that I really truly believe that our practitioners know they could be real. And maybe sometimes we question it a little bit, but our practitioners know that they can be real. Our practitioners have learned the lesson through all of our practices that they don't have to be on, they don't have to particularly be spiritual, life doesn't have to be working, that they can show up and be a mess. And that is something that I'm incredibly grateful for. Because I have to tell you, this has been an interesting year. And I can't tell you, for me, I can't pinpoint exactly, that this event happened or that event. Although over the past 3 years, closing the center, going virtual, buying my house, like we've had lots of things. We had my precious husband had some health issues that, were concerning, albeit them wrong, which was just another whole thing. Thank you, I'm glad they were wrong. But the fact is, so there's been a lot. And yet, when I looked over my year, I couldn't figure out what it was that was happening in my life. God's calling. Does somebody want to shut their phone off? Oh, it might be your purse, that's right. But in case somebody calls back if they don't get you. So I couldn't really say to you, I couldn't specify this event threw me off or this event threw me off, and which was perplexing to me. I know I've been experiencing a little bit of struggle. And I know that I haven't felt the inspiration and the fire in my belly that I used to feel. I think some of that is I'm not with you, and I'm not in our community. And I'm not hugging people and seeing, and I've said this to some people in some conversations, that the magic of the center for 20 years, the magic was our creativity, the music and the song and the out loud way we celebrated, and people dancing in the aisles and the kids coming up and dancing and food, like all of the things that made us us. And the creative nature of that I was able to bring forward, not the same kind of creative nature for the talented people in our community, but the creativeness of me even saying, hey, why don't you do that? Even that part, right? So suddenly we go virtual and my hands are tied. My hands are tied. And so now I don't have the outlet. I'm not feeding off of the energy, that exchange, because there's an energetic exchange. And yet that sounds right, but it still didn't explain what the heck was really going on until I have a kind of a new friend, although she lives a little bit far from me, but we had this wonderful conversation last Sunday. And she was very intuitive, and she asked me this really powerful question. And the question had something to do with why I felt like I wasn't opening my heart. What was going on? Because there's sometimes you don't notice that things close a little at a time. You kind of pull back and you protect yourself, and then you pull back and you don't notice. Because if you do it over a long period of time, what you don't always notice is that suddenly you find yourself shut off. And so I was kind of experiencing myself as shut down, and not all the time, of course. Thank you, God, for my glorious grandchildren. They are the saving grace to help me not completely shut down. But it's been a rough kind of road. And so she asked me the question. We were at lunch, and since everybody here knows, and you were all there, and I'm just, I'm gonna not hide to you. When she asked me, and she asked me the question, she said, but don't answer it right away. You might want to think about it. But what happened was I had a full body realization answer to the question. And I knew immediately what had caused this trickle down of me shutting down. And I am going to tell you. But I want you to know the other part of it. Monday, Joe and I are prayer partners. We were praying on Monday, and this Monday she came up. We were walking around the pond in my town. So sweet, it's so sweet. And we walked a mile, and then we sat and we prayed together outside. But what happened was when I was sharing with her this conversation, and I talked to her about what had happened, and I said, I had gone through this, what I felt like was humiliation. I didn't use that word. I said, I had gone through this challenge publicly. And she said to me, oh, you were humiliated. I went, I hadn't caught that word. And humiliation, just to let you know how impactful humiliation is, humiliation creates rage in people almost more than anything else. It's a big impulse. So what I got when my friend asked me that question, that I have not been the same since Dan Granda left our community. I've not been the same. I tried to put on a brave face, and I tried to survive it, and I tried to be okay, but the truth is, I was pained in a way I've never been pained before. And I have spent, 4 years now? 4 years maybe. I know that sounds like, I'm sorry if I'm disappointing you, and I'm not, maybe you had other expectations of me, but I realized that I've been slowly shutting off and protecting myself and trying to make up for and trying to compensate for that gigantic pain that hurt, that was so deep. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that my friend asked me that question. And I am so grateful that my prayer partner put a word on that helped me touch the pain in my heart that I hadn't identified. See, that's the beauty with raising our consciousness and our self-awareness, because we can't heal things that we don't know are there. Otherwise, we're just hiding all the time, right? And so I'm sharing this with you because when it came out the other day, first on Sunday and then Monday in our conversation, in our prayer time, since then, I have been consciously calling up another part of me. And what's happening is I could feel, I'm getting chills, I could feel the rebalancing beginning to come back. I could feel some aliveness that was hiding under that boulder. It was a boulder. I was knocked off my center like nothing I've ever experienced in my life as ministry. And I was embarrassed, because here's what we do in our minds as individuals, and what I definitely did. Well, especially since it was so public, well, I must not be worthy because this wouldn't have happened. Now, in truth, it's a lie. It's a lie, lie, lie. But I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it. So I'm giving you this story as a background for what I want to say to you about gratitude. Because If we, and Neil, you laid it out so perfectly. Thank you. If you and I do not walk in the alchemical state of gratitude every moment of every day, we are missing a lot. I am grateful you are here. I am grateful for this microphone. I am grateful for the stand. I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful. And this has been an ongoing practice, but it definitely exaggerated now that I have this comparison when I could see what I was doing, and now I can lift up my own spirit by being in that state of gratitude. And it's easy to be grateful for good things. It's easy to be grateful to, getting the last seat in a restaurant, to getting a cheap price on a plane. It's easy for those things. The practice, the absolute spiritual practice that we all benefit from and will benefit more from is when, when we're grateful for the hard stuff. And so we brought that out the other. It was when we launched the gratitude pods. And we talked, the question I asked was, what has happened in your life that was hard, but because you survived it, you became who you are? So I ask you that now. Ponder that right now. What pain, what story, what leaving, what divorce, what illness, what time were you fired, what business did you fail at, who left you, who betrayed you, that by surviving those things, you are now this being who is very much alive. Because knowing what I know and being 100% metaphorically naked about this experience and being in this authentic experience, I know now that what I'm going to bring to the next practitioner session and the next sharing with a friend and the next class that I teach, I know because of that experience that happened, I'm now expanded. So what is that for you? Because as we rise up and we survive these, and we've all done it, we've all survived things, and the thing is sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. I mean, Regina has been living in a miracle in her life. Now, it was surrounded by a bunch of prickly stuff, but you created a miracle in your life, and I love and honor you, and I, as we know, Regina just said goodbye to her brother, but in saying goodbye to her brother, she was in the middle of a miracle that we'll talk about at another time. Joe just survived a health challenge that was miraculous, and she was surrounded by family, and she got to fall in love with her family in a way that she never had. So when we move forward in our life and we are in the spiritual practice, and this time, this practice I'm talking about is this spiritual practice of blessing and gratitude. Every breath, and again, Neil, thank you, every breath you and I take is a blessing, is an absolute blessing. And it makes us more of who we are. And so, of course, in January, we're going to return to the beginning of the textbook. I love the month of January for that purpose. I love renewing that and going back to that basic. But very quickly, we know that all that's everywhere present, that shows up in, as and through all form, is the all that is, shows up in, through, and as each one of us, right? We know that. But here's the thing, what we're trying to encourage you to look at and appreciate and practice is in the state of gratitude. The filter that is your mental emotional filter When you are in spiritual practice, your filter is clear. So Spirit goes saying, whoa, look at that vessel. Let me go there. Let me go there. And when we are in spiritual practice, all kinds of spiritual practice, when we're in spiritual practice, it's like an invitation for God to be gloriously, hysterically available to us. And the more you and I practice, the more spiritual practice. And oh God, I sometimes I just think I'm probably annoying with how much I push certain things. But people, spiritual practice opens our heart and keeps it open. That's the practices of prayer and meditation and having a prayer partner. And oh boy, if you don't have a prayer partner, please get 1 or 5. 1 or many. And I'm going to repeat again why I tell you that. Because at least when you have a prayer partner, you can only go so many days in your week before somebody is now reminding you of your presence. Right? We can forget, like I spent a lot of time, and even though I had my prayer partners, but I hadn't touched that bit of the pain. But prayer partners help us to remember who we are. And when we clear the vessel, we are more available for good, we are more available for healing, we are more available for so much good. So gratitude is an alchemical, and again, the whole frontal lobe thing, it does send off or light up those bells and whistles, but it is an alchemical thing that happens through us. Because when I am in a state of gratitude, I energetically shift who I am and how I show up. Does that make sense? So gratitude as a practice must be practiced every day. So I'm going to ask you right now to stand up where you are, and we're going to retrieve an old practice. And Joe, if you want to participate, I'm going to ask you just to turn to the right of you and to the left of you, and if you guys want to join. And I'm going to ask you to turn and offer a namaste bow to the people next to you. Yeah. Remember that feeling. Remember when we were in large community. Remember how that felt. So now what I'd like you to do is I would like you to start to recall inside of your mind right now things you're grateful for. And everything you're grateful for, speak a thank you out loud. So speak a gratitude for your voice. Speak a thank you for your breath. Speak a thank you for your health. Speak a thank you out loud. Just say thank you and say it over, so this becomes like a chamber prayer of gratitude. Just like, oh, thank you. 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 Oh, thank you for my family. Thank you for my grandchildren. Thank you for my job. Thank you for the air that I breathe. Thank you for this warm November day. And just get into the practice of saying thank you out loud. Let yourself do it. Let yourself over and over. Thank you that I'm breathed on my own. Thank you that I'm standing here. Thank you for this room. Thank you for this church. Thank you for the technology. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the science of mind. Thank you for Ernest Holmes. Thank you for all that I've learned. Thank you for my pain and the lessons I've learned and who I've become because of it. And if you pay attention to the room, you can feel that this gratitude being shared out loud actually begins to change the vibration in the room. Yes, yes. Can you feel it? It is so sweet. And in that moment, we elevated ourselves. We elevated ourselves. We rose up to love on ourselves more. So anything that we do for ourselves, we do for all. There's only one. And as you and I lift ourselves and as we lift each other, the world at large benefits. There is a sweetness, a power, a presence, a love. It is good, it is glorious. It is the spiritual practice of gratitude. And right now, our body temples are vibrating with a different vibration than when we walked in here. A vibration of possibility. A vibration that life is supposed to work, life does work. A vibration that says, I am worthy. I am enough. And I live and breathe and bask in my lavish enoughness. This is the truth of my being. This is the truth of each and every one of us. So my body temple right now is celebrating. Because my body temple is remembering the divine ordination of its birth, its perfection. So I just allow for the glorious nature of the one to be the one in this moment through as each of us. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Oh, sweet divine spirit, let this word be our word today. Let us walk in this, breathe in this. Let us sleep in this attitude of gratitude. For this I am so grateful. And so it is. Thank you. Do you want this? No?